Hello and welcome back. I've now completed the second part of the request response cycle. So last video I left you at, we basically had figured out the user view object and we had put that into the session. Now I've completed the second part. So yes, you need to know how Spring or MVC works in this particular case, or whatever is the framework that you're going to use. You should know exactly how that particular framework works. Only then you will be able to write effective diagrams. Now, having said that, so user VO is put into the session and it's a login controller which will now go make a call to the booking service. It says give me the list of bookings and it's going to pass date, and the date is going to be today's date, which is in turn go to the booking DAO and ask for a fetch list of date again, and this time if you notice I've not shown the call back to the database because I've shown you how to do it already. So but I'm trying to show you a different construct. It's a booking DAO which will actually create multiple of these booking VO objects. What does that depend on? It depends on the number of rows that the result set comes back with. So I've used something called as a frame here, and I put a text which basically reads for each row in the result set. It's the booking DAO object which is going to create a booking VO. And given that it creates a booking VO, it actually comes back with a list. So let me write that. The return type is going to be list bookings. I'm just going to call it list bookings list. So that's what you're actually going to get. So it's going to be the same case with this one as well. So it's going to be bookings list. So we are now back at the login controller. Now the way the Spring works is it's going to get hold of the model into which it's going to set the bookings list that you have received, which is nothing but a list of bookings VO, and the login controller now returns. It returns with a string, and because this is a successful case, the string value is going to contain the location information about the home page. So yes, Spring Framework will go through its view resolvers and all of that, but I'm not going to show that, given that the focus of this particular diagram is to show you how our business scenario works, not how Spring works. So I've skipped that part. So the string is going to contain the information about which page, and it's now up to the dispatch servlet, which does a request dispatch.forward, and it passes the request response objects and sends the request to the home page. Now the home page will internally consume the list that has been sent, and it will write the TRTD tags that as it needs, and it generates the HTML, and that HTML is what the end user will receive. So with this, we have now completed one request response, and this is what I was talking about. A request response cycle, or the boundaries of a sequence diagram, should be very, very well defined. And in this case, given that it was a web application, the request response itself gave us the boundary for the sequence diagram for us to write that as. Having figured out all this information in the sequence diagram, I came back to the class diagram, and if you look, I've now added a booking service, booking DAO, and the booking VO classes. Booking service actually has a member variable of type booking DAO, and I've added booking service as a member variable into the login controller itself. Once I added these member variables and the signatures and the attributes that you see here in booking VO, I went about writing the relationships very similar to what I did in the previous case. So it's a direct association between login controller to booking service and between booking service to booking DAO, because they're all dependencies that are dependent at an attribute level or a member variable level, whereas booking VO is a weak reference between booking service and the booking DAO classes. That's basically what I went and completed. So with this, we have basically realized a class diagram and a sequence diagram for one scenario within one single use case for a given technology stack. Now, just to summarize it once again, for me, writing class diagram and sequence diagrams at this level of detail is really not about documentation per se. The reason to think about design at this particular level is these diagrams actually help us to visualize our code base without us being in front of code. and to think about what the various options are as to how we could go about solving it and choosing a right option. So it's about visualization of that particular design, and once we have visualized it for ourselves, it just becomes that much more easier for me to communicate that to anybody else. But having said that, if we have actually written it down and we do feel that this is worth keep maintaining this, by all means, keep this and maintain it. But that's not the real purpose to write these diagrams. The primary purpose, once again, of to write class diagram and sequence diagrams is about design thinking and design communication, which is what these UML diagrams are also about. So with that, I come to the end of this particular video. In the next section, I have a little bit more theory to cover up in terms of design thinking versus documentation. I will do that, and then we'll be able to go to the next sections. With that, we come to the end of this particular video. In the next section, I will be talking about documentation versus design thinking. I'll see you later then.